So when I was in high school, I was friends with this girl. For story's sake, we'll call her Hannah. So it was like near the end of our senior year. I had gone and driven to Hannah's house, and it was just me and her. We were just hanging out, whatevs. And she starts talking about how she wants to go to this party that these kids at our school were throwing. This location was called The Barn, and it was a literal barn that this kid would throw parties at, right? So I had never been to the fucking barn ever in my life. I never had fucking planned on going there, solely based on the fact, so the friend group that would throw parties at the barn, I didn't agree with the ideology. Frankly, I didn't even like any of them as people either. So I was like, fuck no, I'm not fucking taking my ass there. But she wanted to get her ass in there so bad just so she could talk to her ex-boyfriend that she has been on again, off again for how many goddamn years. And at this time, he was with a completely different bitch, you know? So in my head, I was like, there's so many things wrong with this situation and so many things that could go even worse. So me being me, just trying to please my friends, I was like, fine, we'll go, but I do not want to stay long at all. Like, just do what you need to do. Like, we need to be there like an hour max, maybe 30 minutes max. So I had hit up like 3 of my other friends to come with us because, like, again, like, I don't really know anyone at this fucking party, not really friends with any of them, don't like most of them. So yeah, they come with us, they pick us up, we arrive at the fucking barn, and the first thing we see is this kid fucking walks out of the barn and comes up to us and starts critiquing what my friends are wearing. Like, what the fuck is this? Are you a goddamn bouncer? And he's like talking to my friend like, I don't like the shoes you got on. Like, bitch, get the fuck back where the fuck you were. Do you, like, ugh. And immediately I was like, oh my god, I literally want to go home, but we press forward. So then my other 3 friends start talking about how they want to leave after like 30 minutes, maybe an hour passes. They're like, they want to leave. People here are fucking weird. They're giving them a hard time. They don't like them. And they just want to go home. And I was like, bitch, fuck yeah, like, I want to fucking leave, you know? So I'm talking to Hannah, like, all of us are talking to Hannah. We're like, okay, like, I think that is enough. Like, we should go. Hannah didn't get a chance to talk to her boy yet, so she didn't want to leave, obviously. She started asking me, like, do you think we can just find another ride and you can stay with me and they can go? And I was like, me being people-pleasy again, I was like, sure, like, we'll just find a different ride. And then I told my other 3 friends, like, okay, it's fine, you can go, and we'll figure it out, you know? Which I don't know why the fuck I did that, because we weren't friends with anyone there. No one was gonna fucking take us home. So the night very unfortunately goes on, and then she ends up talking to her boy, and I'm like, fucking finally, now we can almost be fucking done, you know? So, like, they leave me to go talk. I'm like, whatevs, private conversation, don't really care. But I'm by myself, so don't know anyone, by myself. So at this point, they were gone for a while, and I was like, fuck, I'm literally so over this. Like, how long is this gonna fucking take? And I had went to where they were talking. They were, like, in the back of the barn, fucking back of the barnyard. And I go up to them, I'm like, hey, guys, like, what's going on? Can I join you guys? Because literally, the whole entire time they were talking, I was, like, walking around this kid's fucking house. Like, literally a stranger's home. I'm just walking around, looking around, went in the barn, went inside their house, and I was like, wow, this is nice, you know? Hannah then tells me, she's like, the conversation's, like, really private. Like, can you, like, go somewhere else? And I was like, fine, because I have nowhere else to go anyways. So I did what I was told, trying to fucking, like, help my friend, and I just sit on this kid's fucking porch by myself, and I'm like, whatever, I'll just wait. And then this girl comes up to me, and she's fucking, like, stumbling all over the place, and I'm like, oh my god, what the fuck? And she, like, grabs onto me and everything, and I'm, like, trying to help her up and everything, and I ask her if she's okay, and she's, like, telling me all the shit she was doing and everything like that, and I looked at her face, and I was like, oh my god, this girl, it looks so young, and I asked her, and I'm like, hey, how old are you, by the way? And she's like, oh, I'm in 8th grade, like, I'm 13. And I told her, I was like, bitch, we are literally seniors, like 17, 18-year-olds. And I was like, dude, I should have known, I should have never fucking come here. And I was telling the girl, I'm like, oh my god, what you need to do, you need to call your mother, you need to go home. I don't care how much trouble you're gonna get in, you cannot be here. And at that point, I was so fucking uncomfortable. So then I went back to Hannah, and I was like, please, can we, like, go? I'm so uncomfortable right now. Literally, a fucking preteen came up to me just now. And she continues to, like, shoo me away because she's still talking. So I'm getting fucking irritated. So I walk into the house, like, fucking storm into this person's fucking house, and I see a girl that I have, like, fucking art class with, you know? And I start talking to her. I'm like, hey, girl, like, how you doing? Blah, 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 blah. And she's like, hey, like, blah, 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 like, oh my god, I didn't think you'd be here, you know? Like, you know how bitches be, you know? So I'm talking to that girl, and then all her little cheerleader friends come over, too, and start talking to us because they were all going home together, and that's when I slip in. I'm like, hey, guys, like, real talk, like, do you think I can catch a ride with you guys? Because, like, my friend is still talking, I have nowhere to go, and, like, I'm literally, like, just stranded here. And they're like, girl, of course you can come with us. So I'm like, thank God they were fucking there that night. So then I walk back to the porch, and, like, the fucking little girl is, like, on her phone and everything like that. She's like, my mom's gonna come pick me up. Okay, I sat there, and I waited for her mother to come get her, and I talked to her mother. I didn't even know the fucking girl's name, but I was like, I don't know why she's here, but people here are older, and these people are weird, and I'm trying to leave. She needs to go home. So her mom took her home, and then I went to go find Hannah again. I'm like, Hannah, I'm leaving, because fuck you, to be honest, for making me do this. Yeah, I'm obviously mad at her, and I just tell her I'm going. And then I leave with all these fucking, like, cheerleader girls. And I tell them to drop me off at Hannah's house, and I get there, and right when I get there, it's fucking 3 a.m. at this point. Hannah then calls me, and she's like, can you please pick me up? And I told her I was irritated, and I was like, dude, I've been wanting to leave for literally hours, because we got there at, what, maybe 10 o'clock? It's 3 a.m. Before I left, too, I literally asked her, I'm like, is it okay if I go? Like, even though I'm fucking angry, I'm like, is that okay, though? You know what I mean? And she's like, yeah, I'll figure it out. She didn't figure it out, so she just asked me. So she made me drive fucking, like, 20 minutes back, because she was mad at me and everything, and I can't deal with people being mad at me before. So I got her, I dropped her off at her house, and I fucking took my ass home, finally. Moral of the story is, it's okay to have boundaries, and you should be able to say no. And that if you are friends with someone who is constantly pressing you for their own benefit and doing things only for their benefit, yeah, stop being friends with them, girl.
Story time on how I got stuck on the water slide on the cruise. Go on this water slide, you have to weigh a bare minimum of 120 pounds. First day that I tried to go on the water slide, he weighed me and I only weighed 119.6 pounds. And he told me to go eat a sandwich and come back and I could try again. And I literally went and ate a sandwich and tried again, except for I still did not make the requirement. Next day, as I was walking past the water slide, I asked if I could try again, and for some reason, I magically hit 120 pounds. It was one of those water slides where the floor drops out from underneath you and you just free fall. I go on the slide and I have just enough weight to make it to the top ridge of the first loop, but I have to scoot my butt over it to make it down. On the second loop, I did not make it. I didn't have enough weight, so I went up and then I went down backwards. But when I went backwards, I went right past the door. So I was under the assumption that I got stuck in the only part of the water slide where there was no escape. I start panicking. I sit up in the tube. It's humid. It's hard to breathe in there. Water's rushing. Water's in my contacts. I'm trying to see. I realize that I'm in the clear part of the tube, so I look down. I'm on the part of the tube that hangs off the ship. Hundreds of feet down below is the ocean. And I'm like, don't look that way. So I look up at the guy who sent me down and I'm like, hey, I like clear the fog off the tube and I'm like, bang, and I'm like, how do I get out of here? I'm freaking out because in front of me is an upward hike on the water slide. I'm in a loop, okay, and I'm at the bottom of the loop. In my mind, it's up and up. I don't know how I'm supposed to get out. Well, he's pointing this way. He's like, go that way. So I moved this way into the water slide, which is like pitch black because it was dark and covered. And that is when I found the escape door. And the guy opened it up and he let me out. Gets me out and he was like, are you okay? And I literally look at him and I was like, that was not fun. And then I just left. And I'm a little bit of an adrenaline junkie, but that was horrifying.
This is why waking up late might just save your life. One day when I was in elementary school, my mom and I both overslept, which meant I wouldn't be ready in time to get on the bus. School started at 8, my bus pickup time was at 7, and it was already 6:40 or something. I was still in my PJs and hadn't even had breakfast yet. My mom decided that today we would just tell the bus driver to go on ahead and she would take me to school, which would give me plenty of time to get ready. It's 6:50, I'm in my PJs eating breakfast, and that's when we hear the bus pull up 10 minutes earlier than scheduled. My mom peeks her head out of the door into the foggy morning and waves the bus on. She closed the door and came back inside, but the bus didn't pull away. There's a knock at the door and my mom opens it to find a man in a bus driver uniform. He explains he's a substitute bus driver because the regular driver called in sick and that he's early because he wanted to get an early start on the route. My mom says she's taking me to school because we woke up late. He gets visibly upset and says he can wait a few minutes since he's already ahead of schedule. My mom says that we won't be ready in a few minutes and tells him to go on ahead.
I hate to say it, but if the person that you're with is constantly worried that you're cheating on them, it's probably because they're cheating on you. When I was with my ex, he was always extremely paranoid, thinking that I was going to cheat on him, leave him, that I wasn't attracted to him, that I had secret relationships in the past, and just never believed a word that I said. His concern always confused me because I was always 100% honest with him and gave him absolutely no reason not to trust me. Plus, I literally wrote love songs about this dude. Like, what? All the pieces started to fall into place for me when 3 months into our relationship, he started slowly revealing that he had been cheating on me throughout our entire relationship. He also confessed to fantasizing about my sister and all of my best friends, but that's besides the point. Now, he's been a complete asshole ever since we broke up and has been posting super horrible things about me and even wrote a diss track and released it with my name and my picture attached. I'm convinced I'm being pranked at this point. Regardless of that, I just released a super nice love song that I wrote about him while we were dating because I love the song, and now I'm just goddamn embarrassed. The song came out yesterday on all music platforms, and he immediately started posting on his Instagram stories super horrible things about me and super invasive stuff about our relationship. I'm doing everything I can to avoid stooping down to his level, and I've heard that success is the best revenge. I would absolutely love if you guys would help me kill him with kindness by streaming my new song For Me by Alina on all music platforms. Also, do I get a restraining order or...
Get ready with me while I tell you the story of the time that I was in a gun attack one of these. I'm going to preface this video by saying that if you have been involved in one of these, I am so sorry and I hope that you're okay. This is just for storytelling purposes only, and if you do not like these kinds of stories, feel free to scroll. So flashback to when I was 19 years old and working in a retail store in the mall to pay for college. It was a Sunday, and Sundays at this mall were not very busy, and the store I was working at was also very small. On Sundays, the most employees we needed there at a time was like 2. I had come in from my shift around noon, and the girl who was already working there had only a couple hours left in her shift, so our shifts overlapped for like 2 hours, maybe even less. I had closing shifts, so once she left, I was going to be there for a couple of hours by myself to close down the store, which I had done several times, so it wasn't a big deal for me. Anyway, so we're working our shifts and the fire alarm goes off. So we followed protocol, we got all of the customers inside safe, and we locked everything down. And then over the intercom, they announced that it was a false alarm and that we were okay. So we open everything back up and continue working. About 30 minutes later, another fire alarm goes off. So we get the customers in, lock down, do it all over again. Then it's announced that it was another false alarm and we're okay to go back to work. At this point, my coworker's shift is over and I have closing shift for a couple of more hours. Not too long after she leaves, another fire alarm goes off. At this point, everyone in the mall is so sick of it that the stores aren't even closing down anymore. And at this point, my store was completely empty, so I just decided that I was going to wait it out until they announced that it was another false alarm, which they never did. All of a sudden, I see everyone in the mall running. My store was right next to the exit, so that's how I knew that everyone was like evacuating. So in my mind, I think, oh, this actually must be a real fire this time. All of a sudden, I see a bunch of cops and what I think was the SWAT team running in. I have no clue what's going on and I'm standing in the doorway of my store like an idiot. A policeman comes up to me and tells me that there's a suspected shooter in the mall and that I need to close down the store and turn off the lights and hide. I'm so shocked by what just came out of this man's mouth that I'm like, okay, and I just did what he said. Again, there was no one in my store, so locking down was really easy. I locked the doors, turned off the lights, and I hid behind the checkout desk. The reason I chose to hide behind the checkout desk and not the inventory room in the back was because our store had glass windows and glass doors all in the front so I could see out completely, and I wanted to be able to see if I could evacuate or what was going on and everything like that. I'm sorry, I hate being this person, but I'm almost out of time, so go to part 2.
Get ready with me while I tell you some private school girl things that I think would put public school girls in a coma. So I went to this private Catholic middle school for about 10 years of my life, and these are just some like funny, bizarre things that have happened. And no hate to anybody, this is just some fun, like funny stories. Okay, number 1 is dress down days. So basically, people would pay about $2 to $3 to not wear their uniform, and they had to dress according to like a certain theme, usually like with a holiday or something. An example of this is on 9/11. We had a dress down day, and I don't know why they picked a day that was literally the most like traumatic like deaths in the US that we had dress down day, but whatever. Basically, the requirement was we had to wear red, white, and blue, and me and another girl wore the wrong shade. So I just wore jeans and a black top and red earrings, which I thought was pretty good. You know, it was conservative, whatever, and I got dress coded because it didn't approve the red, white, and blue theme enough. And this other girl wore all red, white, and blue, except she had a slightly like pink tinted shirt, and they said that it wasn't patriotic and she got a dress code violation. Another example of like crazy dress code violations would be socks. One time I remember I wore gray socks with my Sperry's, and we have to wear Sperry's, which is another stupid thing. And I got dress coded because they weren't white socks. Another thing is the skirts. The teachers would literally say the most inappropriate things to us. And again, no hate to the school, like whatever, but they'd be like, we can see your whole world right now up your skirt. It was all female teachers who said that, but even the boy teachers made sure that we always had our shirts tucked in. It was just so annoying. And this is just dress code, but at the spring fling, girls were not allowed to wear any of this stuff, which is just like so stupid. But the boys just like had to wear like a shirt and pants, like what? Also weren't allowed to wear jewelry that was not like cross related or like religious. Like you'd have to wear like a choker, but like with a cross with it. Okay, now it's time for like the stories, I guess. So in 6th grade year, which was COVID year, a lot of the kids had iPads, and we would make Google Docs, that way we could talk during classes. Basically, we just share them with each other and just say like stupid stuff like, oh, this class is so boring, whatever. And somebody got conduct. It's not even crazy that like we got caught or anything, but what they did was so crazy. So they called every single student kid down in 6th grade, which was only like 8 kids, and everybody had to get interviewed, and they had screenshots of all of the like chats that we sent and said like certain questions and be like, who made this group chat, whatever. And it was just crazy. And like basically a conduct is, I don't know how like other schools do it, but it goes dress code violation, you get 3, then a notice, and then 3 notices is a conduct, and the conduct is pretty big. Like it's basically like 1 step below a suspension. I thought I'd be able to like fit all of them in here, but there's so many more stories, so go to part 2.
Gorgeous, gorgeous girls always over blush. Gorgeous, gorgeous girls are always in a rush.
Because she like didn't use it or whatever, and mum saw it in the washing pile and was like, what is this? And I was like, nothing. She ambushed me that very weekend, and she took me and my brother to Target with her. Halfway through going to Target, she was like to my brother, you go to the games section and me and Molly are gonna go have a look over there. And I was like, what is she talking about? Takes me over to the bra section, and I'm like, no. And she's like, let's just have a look. And I was like, no. Calls over a sales assistant and she's like, can you please size my daughter up? And I lost it. I would not let her go near me. I was like, no, I don't want to be sized up. Like, no. Sales assistant was actually really nice. She was like, I know, I understand, like it's overwhelming. And I was like, I don't want to be sized. And I'm like crying in Target, and my mom's like, calm down, it's just a bra. Because they couldn't get anywhere near me, she just had to like guess my size. And the bras were actually pretty cute. They're like bright pink and like navy blue. Meet up with my brother and he's like, why are you crying? And I like don't say anything, and then he looks at the basket and sees like the 2 like bright bras, and he's like, oh, that's why you're crying. And then I started crying even more. When we got home, I was screaming at my mom like, I'm never gonna wear them, you can never make me wear them. And she was like, okay, if you don't wear them, you can never wear makeup or dresses or high heels, because if you want to be a lady, you have to wear lady things like bras. And I was like, no. And then I went into my room and tried it on, and the size ended up being the wrong size anyway. So then I started crying even more, losing my mind. I was just not having it. I didn't want to grow up. I didn't want to wear bras. Mum came in and sat down and she was like, look, this is the way of the world. Like, you have to grow up. You can't be a kid forever. And I was sad, but I understood. I don't know if everyone else's first bra story is as dramatic as mine, but that's the story of when I got my first bra. Okay, love you guys. Bye.
Get ready with me while I tell you a really crazy story that happened to me yesterday. I was really craving sushi, but my normal place wasn't open, so I was like, okay, no problem. I'll go to DoorDash. So one of the first places listed is this new sushi place I've never seen in the next town over, but I'm like, okay, cool, let me try somewhere new. So I order it, 30 minutes later, it arrives at my house. I'm like, yes, so excited to eat, or so I thought. I open up the bag to see a handwritten note. I'm like, what is this? You can pause to read, but here's the note. Basically, the note says, I am so sorry, this was made with absolutely no training, and to please feel free to call DoorDash for a refund. So I'm like, wait, what? I'm really not a picky person, so I open up the sushi and it literally looks like a truck like ran it over. I'm like, okay, this is probably not safe to eat. I don't know what happened here. Anyways, I Googled the name of this place and absolutely nothing comes up, like no trace of this place. It is not a real restaurant. I go back to the DoorDash app to find what address they have listed on DoorDash. I get the address and I Google it and it comes up as my local TGI Fridays. Basically, after a little bit of research, come to find out TGI Fridays is opening what they're calling ghost kitchens. Basically, they market themselves not as TGI Fridays, but as like a sushi restaurant or whatever type of restaurant on these delivery apps, and then you order from them thinking you're getting it from like a real sushi place, but it's actually coming from a TGI Fridays. Apparently a ton of other restaurants do this too as well. So it's a little weird that you don't really know where you're ordering from. Let me know what you guys think about this, and if you've ever ordered from a ghost kitchen, have you ever even heard of this before? Double check where you're actually ordering from next time you order from a delivery service. I had a crush on my brother's best friend. We're gonna call him Pedro. One day, my brother and Pedro had a plan to go to the beach together, and then Pedro invited me. And I was like, let me check if I have something to do. I don't. I'm gonna go, Pedro, don't worry. The night before, I was like, I need to look scandalous, like so scandalous. So I remember I wore this 2-piece bathing suit. So long story short, the day came and we went to the beach. So we get to the water and immediately I go in. I wanted to show him, like, I'm a bra girl. Oh, this is the best part. So I'm coming out of the water and I'm trying to look like a baddie. Like, I'm trying to walk out all cute, like the hair is wet and everything. And I noticed Pedro was looking at my legs. So I was like, maybe he's trying to shoot his shot. So I went to go tell him something. And I was like, why do you keep looking at me? And he was like, look at your legs. I look at my legs. There's a whole ass piece of poop from the beach water.